self-evident. All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
Walked in this place and said, wow, this is a huge dome. Bozeman's got it all right.
Stage 2.
Go.
Flight directors, go for launch. We have liftoff.
Vehicles pitching downrange. Max Q. Vehicle supersonic. Stage separation.
You guys know what this represents? I don't remember, just the calm before the storm.
What's the storming?
Could be the calm before the storm. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Give us a hint on your end.
Thank you, everybody.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Just Our Take episode number 72. I'm your host, John, and this is my co-host, Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Howdy. Doing great, John. Good evening, everybody. Just a quick disclaimer. This show's called Just Our Take. This is just our take. You may or may not agree with our points of view, and that's okay. If you agree, awesome. If you disagree, that's okay too. Feel free to light it up in comments. Give us your point of view. Help us learn something new. If we miss something, we'd love to hear from you. John.
Once again, we are live on YouTube, we're live on X, and we're live on Rumble. And tomorrow morning, it will be available to watch or listen to on Spotify. Hey, speaking of the calm before the storm, someone was really calm today. Check this out.
With the U.S. in support of the development of the Lobito Corridor. Tanzania views the Lobito Corridor as an integral part of a broader strategy to enhance connectivity in Africa. We also appreciate the fact that the implementation of the project will provide important opportunities for Africa's development in sectors such as agriculture.
It's such an embarrassment.
Ladies and gentlemen, I gave you the resident of the United States.
Good Lord.
He has no idea. Where am I? When is this thing over?
Wait, what's this guy talking about? He's
What's
talking
he talking
something.
about?
It's a
I
good
gave
thing my
money.
microphone's off. I don't need anybody hearing me snoring.
I gave away money again. What to this time? You know what he gave away? You know what that was about, right? You know how much money he gave? And do you know what he pledged it for?
Yeah, go ahead.
$1 billion. A cool $1 billion for people who may have been displaced in Western Africa, displaced because of a climate event. So you had a climate event, maybe a flood come through your house, destroy your house. The United States of America is going to give you money in West Africa to go ahead and take care of that house.
But not in North Carolina.
No, not in North Carolina. God, no. Okay, so I listened to this interview. It's a couple. They were interviewed on the news, and it's their home was completely destroyed. The mud came down, filled the entire home, and it was like it's got to be torn down and rebuilt. And they were asked, "How do you feel about Biden pledging money for West Africa, and yet you're not able to even get your $750 check from FEMA here?" And I was expecting them to come unglued, like this is outrage, but no. The wife was genuinely like, well, as the United States, we really have to help other countries, and it's kind of important. And, yes, we'd like to see some more support here, but really they probably need our. It's like, what are you talking about? $1 billion pledged to I don't know if it's one country or several, but West African nations, in the event that they have a climate experience that causes,
Bottom line is the guy's a scumbag. He's giving away more and more money on his way out. There's more to come on that. We've got some stuff to talk about later in the show that Joe's doing to try to sabotage on the way out. Tonight's show, we're going to be talking a little bit about, I said we're going to revisit the pardons and why the Democrats are so up in arms about the pardons. We're also going to talk about the latest in the Pete Hegseth saga. We have some other interesting news, like the assassination of the CEO of United Health. We have a couple. I know it's going to shock you folks, for those of you who tune in often. We have a couple ideas about that. We have some opinions only, some speculations. We're not going to claim that anyone that we know has actually done the event. However, we do have some speculation there, and I think you'll find it interesting. Yeah, and breaking news. So I got it before we hit it. Let's go ahead and say thank you to our sponsor, Steel Rebel Design. Kim and company over at Steel Rebel Design doing a great job for us. They make our hats, shirts, hoodies. They do cups and mugs and everything else. She's in the process of making our very own Just Our Take Dark MAGA hat. Can't wait till that comes out. I should be able to model it this weekend on our Sunday show. But you can find Steel Rebel Design or a link to the show or to the store right down below in the notes. And if you click on merch, she'll take you right there to the Steel Rebel Design store, and you can find some of our stuff, or you can get in touch with Kim directly. And if you need stuff for your personal use, whether it be for a family reunion or a business event, she can take care of you from 5 to 500 pieces. She'd love to do it. She also is now providing some amazing embroidery work. So Kim and company at Steel Rebel Design, we thank you for sponsoring the Just Our Take show, and we're glad to have you on board.
Amen. Thank you, Kim.
So
where do you want to start again? Sorry, there's a long list.
There is. Why don't we jump into the and there's not a lot of clips on this. This is more about some talking back and forth. What do you say we talk a little bit about the pardon? So
let's talk about the pardon.
When we talked about the pardon originally on Sunday, it was kind of a shock because it had just happened and we hadn't got our arms wrapped around the whole thing completely. Since then, we have an awful lot of interesting speculation. So I was talking to producer Marie briefly last night, and I didn't want to spill the beans on this one. So now we're going to spill it. Listen, the Democrats are so upset about this because you have to wonder, was Hunter really the target anyway? So first of all, like we said on Sunday, all those state crimes that he did, the underage or the underage, I didn't want to say it, the relations with underage girls. How's that?
Yep.
And any of that stuff that may have happened, all of that are state crimes, and he can still be held liable for those. The presidential pardon only applies to federal crimes or crimes against the federal government. But the rest of the things, we all know that he's a scumbag. We all know that he's done some things. What they're mad about is now that he's done this, now that he has pardoned his son, and some of them are trying to, oh, who wouldn't pardon their son? Well, he promised about 40 times that he wouldn't do it. But now that he's done that, we have got an absolute catch-22. Not we, they. They're in trouble because now he can be compelled to testify. Before, he couldn't be compelled to testify against his family, his dad, his aunt, his sister, his uncle, because he could always just plead the fifth. Well, now, and by the way, and others, there are many, many, many others.
Right.
Do you remember who I told you all have family members that are at Burisma?
You should go to the list again, but Pelosi does.
Pelosi's son.
Mitt Romney does.
Mitt Romney's son, John Kerry's son, and of course, Joe Biden's son. They all have family members, or they have children that are working at Burisma or collecting a check from Burisma. And there's some ample evidence, and many of them have talked about it, that there has been some pay for play there, definitely FARA violations. But here's the thing. Any one of those going before a court or congressional inquiry could plead the fifth against self-incrimination. I'm not going to say my advice of counsel is said by speaking out, I could incriminate myself, and the law says that I don't have to do that. Well, guess what? If he is completely off the table, there is no threat of prosecution, there's no jeopardy involved, then he can be compelled to testify. You must testify because you cannot implicate yourself. They're in deep poop.
Right. And so what could keep them out of deep poop? Well, he could say, I refuse. And then a judge could say, or somebody could say, well, you're in contempt and we're going to go ahead and lock you up until you will testify. And of course, that could be indefinite, but
it can be indefinite.
So he could decide not to say anything and then just go sit in a jail cell for whatever period of time he'd have to do that. And then, we all remember what happened to Epstein when he went to the jail cell.
So here's my take on that, Dave. And I said this in one of our early shows, probably episode 3 or 4, I'm guessing. I think that he wants to. I think he wants to tell.
You think he wants to spill the beans?
Yes, I think he's been abused by his father. He's been used by his father. You look at some of the things that he was saying in text messages. I got to give 10% to the big guy. I'm doing all the work. He's angry. He's angry. Now check this out. He's got this laptop with all of the information, everything on it, all the details, all of the dirty deeds of everybody. And he takes it to some low rent computer repair shop and then forgets about it. And then both he and so the repair shop calls his lawyer, calls him, tries to everything they can to get it back to him. And he doesn't want to pick it up. He knows what's on that laptop. If you believe that story.
Look, that's a fascinating take. We've talked about that before. Did he knowingly, willingly allow the evidence to be found, knowing that he's incriminating himself with that evidence? And by the way, had it been accepted as real right before the election, some people said they wouldn't vote for Joe Biden during that cycle, which means Trump would have won. So was he doing that? Was he doing that on purpose to sabotage his dad, sabotage the election? Okay,
so let's go a deeper dive here. Again, it's just our take. What if the investigation had been going on for a long time? Now, remember, there are other special counsels out there that have been ongoing. They don't get to be ended. And I know that there's at least one more that started during the Trump administration that is going. It's been very quiet, but it is ongoing. So what if they went to him and said, we know all this stuff, and we can't really say how we know it all, but if you should happen to leave that laptop someplace, we'll cut a deal with you. We'll make sure that your daddy pardons you or something like that. And that way we can legally get all of the data, all of the evidence, everything that we need without having to embarrass you further and put you in prison forever. By the way, if we put you in prison as a pedophile, then you'll probably die in prison. So I'm just saying that there's a really interesting take there that could happen. Let's see.
Yeah. Is this picture that we found on your laptop of you with this underage girl real? Yes. Is this picture of you? I mean, it goes on and on. And John, there's a lot of evidence that's on those laptops. So maybe you're right. Maybe he wants to tell the whole story. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out shortly.
What if he was being pressured? We've got it all already because we have Space Force. Whatever. I don't know. What if they already had everything anyway, and they went to him and says, look, we have this. It's on your laptop. We have this. It's on your laptop. We have this. It's on your laptop. We have all of that stuff. We can take you to court. We can take you to a private, a black site where this stuff isn't public, but then you end up going down and we take everybody else down anyway. Or we run it this way. Again, you're thinking in the wonderful world of, I don't know, Law and Order or something like that, where everything's clean and neat and wrapped up in an hour and a half. I think that these things happen, and I think that there's, I don't know. I just, hey, look, I have fun with it. It sounds good to me. Why don't you play that clip? Is it still available? It's the one about the 5th?
Of course. Yeah. Let me tee that back up. Hold on. Let me get Alex to tee that back up.
I thought it was Scott. Did Scott take the weekend off?
Sorry, Scott, Alex, Frank. All right, here we go.
Did y'all miss me? Let's talk about Joe pardoning Hunter. And the wrinkle that nobody has picked up on yet. Not a single person I've listened to on the radio or anything else has picked up on this. I am a lawyer, not your lawyer. So what Joe has issued is a blanket pardon. Basically, he's given Hunter Biden immunity for everything that started when he joined Burisma 10 years ago up until now. It sounds great for Hunter, right? It sounds great for Joe because Joe is the person that Hunter would be testifying against if they made some kind of a deal, right? But do you understand how the Fifth Amendment works? If they give Hunter blanket immunity, which they have, Joe did this. Oh, he lied about it in June. He said he would never do it in a million years, and then he did it. What a good dad. He's doing it to protect himself because he doesn't want Hunter testifying against the Biden crime family. However, this is where he fouled up. Joe, you got to listen to your lawyers because I know one of your lawyers was bound up and smart enough to figure this out. And if they didn't, you need to hire new ones. I worked a case one time where they granted immunity in order to extract testimony from the person talking who was involved with my client. Here's how it works. If you've been granted immunity, the Fifth Amendment no longer applies. You cannot incriminate yourself when you've been granted blanket immunity over everything you did from ant to ant. Therefore, Hunter Biden can now be forced to testify against the big guy. And this is what everybody is missing. And this is where Joe totally screwed the pooch legally on this, is the immunity gets rid of that Fifth Amendment. So now when they ask Hunter Biden, they put him on the stand, if they do, and they ask, how much money did you launder through Ukraine to your dad? And he says, I'm taking the Fifth. The judge can compel him to testify because he is immune from prosecution on that. And if he still refuses to testify, he can hold him in contempt and he can put him in jail until which point he decides to testify. Good one, Joe. Proving you're still a complete idiot.
I didn't know they still made those pens.
I didn't either.
But apparently long-haired lawyers use them. So
he said, and I quote him, "I am a lawyer, not your lawyer."
Yeah, pretty good.
He's fun. Yeah, so that's what we're just talking about, right?
Certainly a lot to think about. I think that we're going to see more about this. There is, let me see if I have this. Where did I put it, David? Remember I found that other thing that, it might be on. Sorry, let me find it. So there's some word that our good friend Joe is thinking about pardoning some other folks too, which if he does, it's really going to make some people very, very, very angry.
So there's, John, there's a lot of speculation. It looks like it might have begun. It might have started with MSNBC. You know how sometimes the journalists that get on and they're like, I suspect that the earth might be flat. And then for the next 3 hours, they're talking about how the earth is actually flat and everyone who thinks it's round is wrong. And then that becomes the truth. The earth is flat. Everyone knows it. So I think this might be the same thing. It started out on MSNBC, it looks like. And then from there, all these different places are now starting to talk about how there's a potential pardon for people like Fauci and Pelosi. Yeah, there you go. And Liz Cheney. Like, why does Liz Cheney need a pardon? I'm so confused.
Because she headed up the J6. Because she headed up the J6 committee, and then they destroyed evidence against federal law. That was an absolute clear violation of federal law, but they destroyed all that evidence. So all that testimony, all of the evidence, everything they destroyed. Why would they do that?
Yeah, and I'm obviously being satirical. Why would a good upstanding citizen like Liz Cheney, who clearly endorsed the right side of the last election, why would she need a pardon? I'm so confused. Unless she did something wrong.
And to Maria's question, Marie asks, how is that possible? They aren't even charged yet with anything. That's true. And there are a lot of people, which is very interesting. All of the legal scholars are coming out of the woodwork now saying that this is a gross abuse of the presidential pardon powers, and that you cannot, and if they can tie it back, you cannot tie somebody in and say, and we're going to get to that, Marie. We're going to get to the Hegseth thing in just a second. But you cannot do something to preemptively keep yourself out of trouble. And so there is a possibility that some of these pardons that he's either considering or has already done would violate that.
Yeah. You have to remember just a few short months ago when the Supreme Court said the president has immunity for their actions related to serving the United States of America. They don't have immunity if their actions are for serving themselves, right? That's what the finding was. This smells of the same type of thought process, same strategy. He pardoned a person who theoretically could who theoretically could protect
testify
him
against the entire family.
Yeah.
And
how is that's not? It is a conflict of interest. We all know that. So now, if he were to pardon these other people, then clearly he's doing that to protect himself and a treasonous cabal. And
these things lead back to the Clintons. It lead back to the Obamas. It leads back to an awful lot of people. I say we leave it here for now, Dave, because I think there's going to be more coming out over the next few days. It's a hot topic. It's not going anywhere. So what do you say? Jump in and we talk a little about our good friend Pete Hegseth. I do have a video that I want to share. He did a little mini tour today. He's doing the media tour, and he actually went on Megyn Kelly, the Megyn Kelly show. So let me just play this video.
She's a strong supporter.
She is. I mean, she knows him personally from the. So that's the question. There have been people, by the way, let me just jump back into this, Roger. The question is, can he? And there are a lot of legal scholars coming out now that says you cannot pardon yourself unless you've been. So, like, if you were charged with a crime, convicted of a crime, you could pardon yourself, but you can't blanket. He'd have to admit that he did something. And then obviously he's not going to do that. But again, I think that more is going to shake out about this, and rather than do a lot of speculation, I don't know that he can pardon himself for things that he did do or could have done. We'll find out. All right. Here's Pete Hegseth on Megyn Kelly's show.
An all-out assault since Trump named you.
No doubt.
I mean, from alleged rape allegations to allegations about your marriage to financial mismanagement allegations at your companies that you ran, your foundations, I should say. How's it going with Trump right now? Is he so far standing by you, and have you spoken to him?
I spoke to him this morning, Megyn. I mean, he's amazing. He's a fighter. He's been through this himself. And he told me the last thing he said to me, well, two things he said to me when I left his office when he chose me was, well, besides what he said about being a warfighter, we can get into that, was you're going to need to be tough as shit. You're going to need to be tough as shit. But he paused again as I was walking away and said, but you're the man for this moment. I chose you because you're the guy that's going to put the warfighters first. We haven't had that. We need a guy that's kicked down doors and understands the consequences of war and why us deterring war, fighting it, and winning it is important to him. He gets it. And we can get into the policy of all of that. But ultimately, he reiterated the same thing this morning. Hey, Pete, I got your back. It's a fight. They're coming after you. Get after it.
How do you like your chances right now?
I mean, Donald Trump won overwhelmingly. 76 million votes. He's got 53 senators, all of which understand what the American people voted for. They voted for the change that Donald Trump is going to bring. And they knew in the picks that he's made, he's bringing in change agents. If you wanted another general or another admiral or an executive or a CEO or a politician or a lawyer to run the Defense Department, we've tried that before. He said, I want a warfighter department.
They're worried about the military and the country and not necessarily your love life.
No. No.
Or your mom.
Or my mom, who did a fantastic job on Fox and Friends.
We're going to show some of it.
If we all went back 7 years, we would see that maybe we were not the people we are today. And I'm sure many of you across the country understand how difficult divorce is on a family. There's emotions. We say things. And I wrote that in haste. I wrote that with deep emotions. I wrote that out of love. And about 2 hours later, I retracted it with an apology email, but nobody's seen that. I want to say something about the media. And part of today is to discredit the media and how they operate. When they contact you, I let a few phone calls go, but then they call you and say they threaten you. That's the first thing they do. Right. They say, unless you make a statement, we will publish it as is. And I think that's a despicable way to treat anyone. Threats are dangerous. I don't think the way you operate it feels almost criminal when reporters call you and threaten children.
By the way, you'd be surprised how little that has come up. Now, when they ask, I answer candidly. I don't answer these questions to the hyenas in the hallway trying to chirp at my wife and I as we walk down the hallway. I don't owe them an answer. I owe an answer to the members of the United States Senate who are going to vote for a confirmation here. And my meetings with them have been fantastic. No one has looked me in the eye and say, I have concerns and I can't vote for you.
So there you have it. The reason his mom came on the show is that the New York Times came up and found a letter, an email that she had written to her son. It was supposed to be a personal letter between she and her son, and somehow it got leaked. And she said, you are horrible. You are mean to women. And it was the whole process of going through the divorce. And then 2 hours later, literally 2 hours later, she wrote a letter back to him saying, I'm sorry. I love you. I don't want to see you go through this divorce. And I'm sorry that I said any of that. I don't mean it. But they didn't print any of that. They only printed the first letter. And again, it's a personal thing. So people get a divorce. They're not claiming that he did anything else. The other thing is, they're not claiming he's a, even Pete Hegseth isn't claiming that he's, this righteous man. He has a past. Anyway, that's that. But I want to share this page and then we can talk through things. This, I think, is what Katz was talking about. 0 Senate Republicans oppose Pete Hegseth for defense secretary openly, is what they should have put there. Sources say, but Rhino John Cornyn walks away from reporters who asked him straight up, are you going to support him? He wouldn't come out and say whether he would or not. So this for Secretary of Defense that Pete Hegseth is in the running for. And right now, none of the senators are saying that they will not vote for him. There are a list of 3 that have been questionable, but no one has publicly come out and said no. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be on record. But you gotta love the media still picking and choosing, how to fight the battles for the cabal that's losing. And at some point, like some of the media has figured it out and said, okay, we're no longer gonna support and fight for the cabal. Maybe it's self-preservation. Maybe it's because, they found God. I don't know. But like the LA Times is an example. I think what Bezos is trying to do with his newspaper is another one where they're saying, actually, we just want to get back to reporting news and not trying to, through our news, sway opinion. But clearly that's what happens when you produce it's sad that the email gets leaked and then they go run with the email without asking any follow-up questions, without asking anything further. And they do it on purpose to damage him. I mean, they're afraid. I guess that's it. They're scared. Maybe they want this person instead.
So this is the person that the Biden administration, that's the person that the senators, these very same senators, voted for to be one of the deputy energy secretaries. Now, when you say energy secretary, we're not talking about, does the electricity get to your door? We're talking about nuclear weapons and what to do with nuclear waste. This guy had been caught on 3 separate occasions stealing luggage off the carousel at the airport. And then this particular dress, this particular outfit was one of the outfits that he found in one of these suitcases that he had stolen off the carousel. But this one was passed with flying colors. In fact, every single Republican senator voted to confirm this.
Which just makes you wonder, every one of these pundits, they're not journalists who say they're not qualified. This person's qualified. That guy was not qualified. His pronouns are they, them, by the way.
Mean, the thing is that, I'm not going to judge the book by its cover and say, because it dresses like that, it is not qualified. The proof was in the work product, which was non-existent. I mean, let's talk about Buttigieg, who is our transportation secretary. Totally unqualified. That guy has overseen more transportation disasters than the previous 5 transportation secretaries combined.
Yeah, not qualified.
He was passed with flying colors.
Yeah, not qualified.
By the way, what is a flying color? What is a flying color?
Colors fly. Come on, John. Everyone's seen colors fly.
Sorry, just tangent.
Well, and that's the thing. No one cares. No one cares if you how you identify your gender identity or anything. If you can get the job done, you're in. Get the job done. But if you can't get the job done, then we do care because you are putting our lives at risk, and that's not okay.
So I am still in the camp that if Hegseth should be removed, that the next, and I don't know if I don't have the screen, but there's rumor out there today that DeSantis would be his replacement. Now, the interesting thing is, I did see something from Sean Hannity where he said that there is discussion that Hegseth would be out and Ron DeSantis would be in at Secretary of Defense. Now, let's remember, Ron DeSantis does have a military background. He was a member of the SEAL teams. So, he does have the military background. And one of the things that Trump had said was he doesn't want any of these woke generals anymore. What he wants is a door kicker. He wants someone who has seen war. And he actually used those words. I want to see a door kicker. So, does DeSantis fit that? Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't understand why General Flynn is not in the cabinet as of yet.
Yeah, and there's just a ton of chatter about DeSantis replacing Hegseth.
Of course, that's the answer, Marie. This Navy guy should have known. Nautical customs, the phrase pass with flying colors originated from nautical customs. In the age of discovery, the ships would return to port with their flags, colors, either raised or lowered. By the way, when you raise the flag in the morning, that's called colors. When you lower the flag, it's called, yeah. So anyway, there you go. Thank you. I get it now. Leave it to producer Marie to always be on the spot for us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Marie. I was just about to say that, by the way.
Of course you were.
Hey, just on a final on this Hegseth DeSantis rumor. I hope Trump does fight for him. I hope that if he's not the guy, then he's Flynn. But I'd like to see DeSantis continue to run Florida. He's done an amazing job. I know you and I will have to at some point, pick apart what are the areas of concern that you have about DeSantis. But I look at him and say he is one of the most courageous leaders in this country. He's done an incredible job as governor, and I think the next step for him as president at some point in the next 12 to 16 years. I think he's got it. But for right now,
I will say many people agree with you. I will give you that. So, let's move on to one that doesn't seem to be reaching as many snags, and that is Kash Patel. Now, there's people that don't like him. There's people that are scared to death about Kash Patel. We're seeing a lot of these pardons coming to light because Kash Patel was named as the person to replace Christopher Wray. Now, by the way, did you see Dick Durbin come out? Senator Dick Durbin came out at the beginning of the week and he said, Donald Trump is just plain wrong. He does not have the legal authority to fire Christopher Wray as FBI director. He is in there for a 10-year term, which would make it 2028 before he has to leave. Well, Dick Durbin, I think you forgot that Donald Trump fired James Comey.
He sure did. And you know how he did it? Do you remember that?
Yes.
In the middle of a press conference. And then Comey's like, I was what? I was fired right now? Just now he fired me?
Yeah, so Christopher Wray, you're fired. Anyway, so here's a quick video on Kash Patel.
Problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government. So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government. The point is, under the law, it doesn't matter if you had the nuclear codes. The Presidential Records Act, and Bill Clinton took literally recordings of a classified conversation and took them when he left the presidency, and he put them in his sock drawer. It's called the Clinton sock drawer case. They went to federal court, the government, and the federal court adjudicated that President Clinton, as a president, has the Presidential Records Act. He can take what he wants. The court never even found out what was on the record. It's that strong. So then why does this DOJ come in and say, well, it doesn't kind of apply to Trump? And then you interview Joe Biden, and he was never president. He had 4 different locations of 20 years of classified information. But their excuse to not prosecute Joe Biden was basically he's too inept, he's too feeble-minded, so we're not going to prosecute it. I've never heard that. What the deep state uses the most to cover up their corruption is an illegal application of the classification system. Remember the Lovebirds text from, this is a beauty, the Lovebirds text from FBI, DOJ land, Russiagate, Strzok and Page were texting each other, who they were running the Russiagate investigation against Trump. They were the head of the counterintelligence unit at the FBI. And they're having an extramarital affair together. Can't make this stuff up. They're sending each other texts about how much they hate Trump and are going to create an insurance policy to stop Trump. Then we finally find those text messages. You know what the FBI and DOJ do for like a year? Redact them to congressional investigators and congressional men and women running the oversight of their agency. That's just one example. But it gets even better. Here's the deep state full circle. Just last week, do you know what Strzok and Page received from the Department of Justice? What? A $1.5 million payout to settle a lawsuit that Strzok and Page brought for the improper disclosure of their personal text messages on FBI phones. Wow. And the DOJ just rewarded them. They broke the law. They broke the chain of command. They broke every regulation there is in the FBI. They weaponized the system of justice against a political target they hated. We found those text messages, and we got them declassified finally in full when I became Deputy Director of National Intelligence. And the world has now seen them, and they can read them. That's the best form of transparency. That's why I want this 24/7 declassification office.
Okay.
Wow. I remember those text messages. I remember
don't you just love Kash Patel? I mean,
I absolutely do.
Any doubt that this guy is going to go in and kick some butt? Pretty good guy. Now let me share you this one. One of my favorite guys, I've shared this with you before, and the folks at home. One of my favorite guys over on X is a guy named George. He used to be on all the other platforms under Behizy, but Behizy got kicked off. So Behizy Tweets is his handle, but he goes by George. And I just love this guy. Look what he put out. Kash Patel will be the first ever black FBI director, the same way Kamala Harris was the first ever black vice president. Therefore, any senators who vote against this confirmation will be committing an act of racism and white supremacy. Now, you can't really see it from the picture there, but George Behizy is a black man. He's actually a youngster. He's probably 20, 21 years old, but he's one of the smartest fellows out there, period. He's just a great guy. But what a wit. I mean, isn't that great?
That's awesome. By the way, Kash Patel, let's see, who is he suing? Sent a letter to Olivia Troy's counsel threatening legal action, demanding, and I'll read her words, threatening legal action, demanding that I retract my comments on MSNBC about his unfitness to serve as FBI director. This aligns with his threats against the media and political opponents, revealing how he might conduct himself if confirmed in the role. I stand by my statements. My priority remains the safety and security of the American people. This person, I'm saying person because I really want to use some stronger language, made some incredibly disparaging comments about Kash, and that he'd fabricate evidence, that he'd just make stuff up. If he needed to go after somebody, just make it up. And then he was withholding information and lying. And I don't know, Kash has come after people before. Yeah, he'll clean it up. I agree, Roger. He's come after people before, and he's not afraid. That's why we need people like that. Unafraid, not afraid of the truth. The truth is painful because you're going to learn. We're learning a lot. We'll learn a lot more, I assume. All these people are confirmed about things that our country has done, our government has done. These people that have been in government, I won't say our government, the people who tell government offices have done that are just harmful to the rest of us and the rest of our country. We need people like Patel to go in there and clean that up, expose it, turn on the lights. Let's see all the cockroaches scatter.
I'm 100% with you. Hey, here's another really quick hit from Kash Patel. Let's see if it's quick hit.
We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice.
How about that?
I love it. Get him. Hey, by the way, do you remember when Biden was on stage and he said, oh my God, what's his name? Our hero from where was he, in Ohio? Oh my gosh. Why am I forgetting? No, Wisconsin. Why am I forgetting all of a sudden? Do you remember during the riots, that young man who was out there, 17 years old, protecting his friend's business, his friend, oh my gosh, I can't believe this name has popped out of my head. And he ends up getting chased down the street and getting a skateboard bashed in. He
Jesse
turns.
Smollett.
No, not Jesse Smollett. No, he, by the way, he's still a victim. Oh my God, what's his name? It's driving me nuts. That kid.
Marie will know. Marie will know. The one that shot the guy.
Help me out.
So this is the best part about.
Anyways,
You're talking about the guy that shot the kid, right? He was being beat up and shot, hit with a skateboard, so he turned around and shot someone.
Well, that guy was a pedophile. He convicted, multiple convicted. The kid himself. Anyways, Biden was on stage saying, "Yeah, we had to lock him up. He's guilty. We need to find a guilty verdict."
Yep.
And how about as a president, you act well? He's never acted like a president, but go after him too, because his words may have influenced people that were ultimately on that jury, and that's not okay. You just can't do that. As president, you can't do that. What's his name?
Well,
It's driving me nuts.
If you remember when there was a professor,
Rittenhouse,
yeah. There was a professor who the campus police asked him to identify himself. He refused to identify himself, and the president at the time, Barack Obama, said the Cambridge police acted stupidly.
Yeah.
Without knowing any of the facts, he said that they acted stupidly.
Yeah, don't need to know the facts. I don't need the facts.
So back to a question that Marie had
Yeah.
just asked. I'm going to go ahead and throw this one up here. Yes, Justice Sotomayor compares the risk of transgender hormone therapy for minors to taking an aspirin, as she and Ketanji Brown Jackson blasts bans as sexist. Now there's another one here. Let me pull this one up.
Which is just crazy. The fact there's risks from taking aspirin. It's the same. It's not the same. And you know what? If you don't understand that they're not the same, just say, I don't know. Let me consult somebody who is an expert in this area. Don't spew your mouth and say this is, and Supreme Court justices, John. These are the people that are going to rule on the law of the land.
Ketanji Jackson Brown makes insane argument comparing ban on sex changes for children to barring interracial marriage.
Because it's just the same. It's the same thing.
Same. Yep, it's the same.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Now, how did it happen that the Senate passed this one through? I mean, you had to know that her legal chops were deficient.
I don't know how they passed. I mean, anyone who said, yes, I think she'd make a fine justice, owed somebody a favor. She is not smart. And I get it. I get it. It takes a lot to become a lawyer and to actually have to practice law in some regard for enough years where someone would consider you for this role. So you had to have had some accomplishments. But hearing her speak, hearing her weigh in on things, some of the oral arguments, responding to oral arguments, I don't understand how anyone said, yep, she's the one.
Yeah, that's 100% right, Pat. These are children we're talking about. These are not consenting adults. I saw something today where someone said that a 2-year-old knows that they are transgender at 2 years old. And they meant it. They meant it. I want to go back and something I'd said to David a while back was, you know, when Democrats get in trouble, they circle the wagons. When I say get in trouble, when they need to stand by each other, they do. They circle the wagons. When Republicans get into some kind of a sticky wicket, you can look up that one. When they get into some kind of a problem, they circle the firing squad and they start taking each other out. That's a big problem. You know, they never stand by each other. And right now what's happening is with the Hexit thing. And I think that people are starting to call their senators. People are starting to realize or remind the senators that we, the people, voted. And what we're voting for is people like Hexit and people like Kash Patel. And unless you want to be very quickly, taken out of the Senate next time around, we will do that. unless you stand by we the people and do the job that we are telling you to do, not the job that you have Soros or someone else telling you to do.
Amen. You represent your constituents. Your constituents have said, have made their voices heard. This is what we want.
Or as Tom Homan said, you work for me.
You work for me. And now he's going to say, I work for you. And here's what I'm doing for you.
Speaking of which, hey, David, could you play the first Chicago woman?
Oh, yeah.
This is great. The people of Chicago are stepping out. They're getting frustrated. They're getting fed up. And it's good to see. It's good to see people finally not worrying about party as much as policy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they've been pushed to this point, but I agree. It's good to see them speak up. All right, ready?
Ma'am, I would ask that you
keep your,
hold on a second. Stop her time. Stop her time. Just a second. Just a second.
Some of y'all say y'all willing to go to jail for it. Trump, Tom Homan, make an example of this Negro right here first. Please come here first, because you know what? We're going to help you. We want a forensic.
Ma'am, I would ask that you keep your, hold on a second. Stop her time. Stop her time. Just a second. Just a second. Stop her time. Ma'am, I would ask that you, if you want to continue speaking, you have to make sure that your language is appropriate. Okay? All right.
Alex.
Okay, you can begin her time again.
You're gonna spend our tax dollars to go, Michael Rodriguez, you said to take Trump to court to protect these illegals. You said you're gonna spend our tax dollars to take Trump to court to protect these illegals if they try to come in your here in your district. And then you said they all of y'all in cahoots with each other to do it. Okay, so now we about to make y'all famous. We're gonna let all y'all constituents know who y'all ratting for, that y'all wouldn't spend our tax dollars to protect illegals and to get them legal services. So that's what we're doing. That's cool, because we about to make all of y'all aldermen famous. Y'all think this is how it's gonna rat? I think not.
We're gonna make you famous.
Play that
Trump,
out.
Holman,
Play it out. Play it out. Her last line is perfect. Sorry.
Okay.
Flip Chicago red. We not playing.
Okay, she says, we gonna flip Chicago red.
I see your Chicago flips.
Flip Chicago red. We not playing.
We're gonna,
we're not
flip
playing.
Chicago red.
We not playing.
They're not messing around, and they're finally stepping up. How about you go right into the next angry Chicago woman?
Okay, hold on.
Hurry up, Scott. Sorry.
Yeah, come on, Scott. Get on it.
That's right. We got plans. 100%.
All right. Ready, set.
Now let's get down to Tom Homan and 8 USC 1324. Different editions of 1994, 2020, 2021, and 2022 about you harvesting aliens.
I'm sorry, before I go one step further, I love it when I hear I'm listening to her, and she is so articulate. She has got the facts, and she is citing code and dates. Do you think she's got an ID, right? She's got an ID, right? Just think about all the times you hear all of these super lefty wacko Congress people saying, oh, in that community, the inner city community, they can't get an ID, and they just don't know how to use computers. I can't remember who made that comment, but one of those politicians, maybe it was Kathy Hochul, right? Governor of New York. They don't know how to use computers. How freaking racist. Sorry, I was just thinking, here we are again. This woman clearly is prepared, clearly knows her. I mean, I haven't heard the rest of this clip at all. It already, like, you can just tell. And I just think about how disparaging this left party has been to people of color, people of the inner city for so long
Very
now.
Disrespectful. Very
It's
disrespectful.
incredibly disrespectful. I will play it from the beginning because I don't want to miss the details here. But
Now let's get down to Tom Homan and 8 USC 1324. Different editions of 1994, 2020, 2021, and 2022 about you harvesting aliens. And you so strong about protecting those aliens, but you won't do nothing for the U.S. citizens. We are the ones who pay your salaries. Salaries. Let me accentuate on that. But yet, you want to overlook us like we don't exist. Well, you're not going to exist for the next election because there's a 10-year prison sentence when you want to stand up here for those illegals. Now, let's get down.
How about that?
There's a 10-year sentence. This is what, I mean, you know how I feel about, the immigration conversation, but I will say that when you have communities that are saying, we're going to, by the way, they're going to protect all alien, they're not citizens. They're all people that are here that are undocumented, illegal aliens, illegal people that are here illegally. That's what I meant to say. Even the criminals, even the ones who are committing crimes. So you know how I feel about the whole conversation, but the ones that are clearly committing crimes blatantly, who have no fears and no remorse. And some of these these politicians, these mayors, these governors, senators, representatives are saying, we'll use all of our resources to protect them. This is what the community needs to do, stand up and say, no, you will not. Those are the dollars we paid in. We're trusting you to represent us. You are failing us. And if you're going to harbor illegal aliens, you're going to jail. And they need to. You just can't do that.
Now would be a good time to remind everybody, please do us a favor and hit that thumbs up. If you like what you're hearing, if you don't like what you're hearing, but if you do like what you're hearing, good, please hit that thumbs up right now. It helps us out.
If you don't, that's okay too. Feel free to
yeah, no, that's right. That's what we're here for. But that's the number one piece of the algorithm that that helps people find our show. So please do us a favor, hit that thumbs up for us. Hey, I'm going to move forward because I love the discussion. I think it's great. You know, California has come out and said that they are going to spend taxpayer dollars to put up legal funds to protect these illegals in our country. And again, it's in your face. It's these people saying, we don't care about our citizens. We care about these people that are here illegally. And then the thing that they always come back to, well, then who's going to pick your lettuce?
Yeah, I heard the same argument from somebody offline. I heard the same argument. We're having the conversation. Well, who's going to pick strawberries in the field? I'm like, wait a minute. That's about the most racist thing I've heard. You're saying we shouldn't ship back the cheap labor? Is that what you're saying? Their only purpose is to pick your strawberries? Do you understand how bigoted that sounds? That is absolutely out of sight. By the way, Nancy Pelosi said that when she was arguing about what a horrible person DeSantis is because he was busing people up to Kamala Harris's house. And she said, I don't know why he's doing that. I mean, he needs people in Florida to pick the oranges for him. And I think he's got some cheap labor and he should just hold on to them.
Speaking of Nancy Pelosi, hey, did you hear?
I'm sure she was drunk as heck. Anyway, sorry.
Did you hear? Well, they call it the Pelosi punch for a reason. Listen, a horrible thing happened in the streets of Manhattan today, this morning, right early. There was the CEO of United Health was shot, assassinated right there on the street. And here's a video. I hope this doesn't bother people. It may, and I apologize. Look away if you don't. It's not gory or anything, but it certainly shows this man. If you look down in the lower portion, is that on the screen? Yes, it is. The lower portion of the right-hand screen, you see a man holding a handgun. The handgun does have a suppressor. Some people call them silencers. They are suppressors. And he takes several shots and kills this guy right on the street. Here is a picture of that person who did the shooting. Not a lot of detail here. I did see someone it was just fascinating. This guy, some kid has this website, and what he does is he puts useless data on the website. He called it useless data, not me. He says, it's a hobby of mine to gather useless data and put it on there. And these e-bikes, or they call them city bikes, that are all over New York City. He's tracking them, and he says where they get picked up, where they put on a charger, where they're driven to. And he actually was able to track down this actually has the video in it, David, if you really want to see this.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, the one thing that you play the video. Here's or at least make it full screen. You don't have to play it then. Just you can pause it if you want. But the thing is, there's no question. Look at this guy. It's not daylight, but in broad daylight, meaning in public, full view of the public. No fear. There's a person standing over here by the doorway to the right. He's just standing there. I don't know how far away he is, maybe 15 feet, and pulls the trigger with just like, everyone's watching me and I know it, and I'm going to do it anyways. And then after he's done, he walks over. I don't know if he empties, if he fires a few more rounds or not, I can't tell. And then he just takes off. He just takes off. It's the most brazen thing I have ever seen, and there's just no concern, no fear whatsoever. Incredible, John.
Yeah, and there's I don't know if you could see the tail lights on the two sedans sitting there that are getting ready to pick somebody up, but the door's actually open on the forward one. Like maybe this was his ride that he was walking to, and this guy just comes up and takes him out. Well, there is a backstory, and here's the tie-in, and I'm not saying that this is a tie-in. It's just an interesting take here, but apparently on February 21st of 2024, United Health discovered a cybersecurity breach. On the very same day that they found this cybersecurity breach, Nancy Pelosi made a second purchase of a call option for for Palo Alto Networks, a cybersecurity company that was later chosen to investigate the breach. United Health CEO Brian Thompson was killed by a masked gunman today in the middle of a federal investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice. So on the 21st of February of this year, United Healthcare discovers a cybersecurity breach. The very same day, Nancy Pelosi, basically she buys a call option on a stock called Palo Alto Networks. Later, that very same company, which is a cybersecurity company, was called on to investigate the breach. Conflict of interest, maybe?
What was the date again? The 21st?
February 21st.
Okay, so John, hold on.
You're going to bring up the stock chart?
Yeah, I'm just doing a really super basic one just for funsies. Hold on. And let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. So February 21st is right here. So the stock took nosedive.
Check it down off the screen.
Oh, shoot. Hold on. My bad. I'm going to fire that producer. Just terrible. Tell him, good talent is so hard to find. Okay, basic stock chart. This is Palo Alto. I want you to notice that the days before Palo Alto, they're just crushing it all the way up here to 370, 380 bucks a share of the high. And then it opens on the 21st all the way down here at $275. So it dropped. So on the 21st is when she bought her call options. Amazing. Like, if we could time it like this, we would own, well, I don't know if I'd want a yacht. But anyways, we would be renting somebody else's yacht. This is incredible timing. You can't make this up. How do you predict this? And then, of course, you look what Palo Alto's done ever since, and now they're eclipsing $400 a share. How on earth could she be so good so often? Just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, well, that's how you go from earning $175,000 a year and become worth over $200 million.
Yeah, 240 million bucks. Incredible.
Yeah.
I was reading people are estimating somewhere in the 220 to 240 range. Incredible. Like, just the the ability to time the market. No one is that good. She is that good.
Well,
yeah, don't know if there's a relationship there or not. Don't know if he, through as a CEO, maybe he found something and he disagreed with it. And
as our listener Marie would say, she's a stinking cheater and liar.
That's a fact. She is a cheater and a liar.
Here's what I do want to say. It's a striking coincidence at this point that on the 21st, they find this cybersecurity breach the same day she buys stocks. Okay. And then the Department of Justice is running this investigation. I don't know where the tie-in is for him being assassinated. He clearly was assassinated, but I'm not sure. Maybe he got evidence that this was a setup, and they wanted to take him. I don't know. And it's probably irresponsible for us to speculate on why it was done, but somehow these three things tie together.
Yep, pretty incredible. Well, we don't know how yet. We may never know how, but somehow that guy found something he wasn't supposed to find, and unfortunately, he was assassinated. That was incredible.
Yep. So I think I've got one more thing I just want to toss out here. It's kind of like one of those little throwaway things that we're going to toss out. But it's interesting. It's interesting. It's an interesting data point, and I'm going to put it up here for you guys to see. Probably didn't know this. I'm just guessing.
So, guess who's broke and shutting their doors temporarily? The UN. That is correct. Let me just show you the article from Brussels Times. The UN temporarily closes Geneva headquarters due to lack of funds. Aw, poor UN. I know. Aren't we all just so sad? I mean, my heart is breaking for those Epstein-type bureaucrats who basically, traffic children in Yugoslavia and women. And there was a whistleblower who came through, and then they changed their charges for human trafficking and lessened it to just violations, because you can't have the truth come out with the UN. But the funny part is the UN is actually out of funds because it costs too much money to run the electricity in their buildings. So their own policies are basically shutting their own doors, kind of like the entire liberal agenda that's kind of falling apart at the seams, don't you guys think? But it gets even better for the UN because Doug Porter of Canada decided to make a petition for Canada to pull out of the UN. Leslyn Lewis, who's a conservative member in the federal level government, decided to sponsor that petition. Now it's still going and it will be going, and I will have all of the links so you can sign the petition as well. And I know you guys are saying we're not making any difference, like everything is moving slow, but let me just show you this year's Davos meeting and what they want to achieve. So Klaus Schwab's little World Economic Forum annual meeting this year will be about rebuilding trust. Yeah. Oh, Schwabi. Are you realizing that we don't trust you? That we don't trust your little global leaders such as Justin Trudeau? Yeah, there will be no trust to rebuild because we will never trust snakes and rats and parasites like yourself. And after we're done pretty much taking the UN down, we will come after the World Economic Forum because I do not feel like paying my Canadian pension plan into the World Economic Forum, which is, by the way, where our CPP is going. So to my American friends, there are a bunch of petitions as well for the United States to pull out of the United Nations. Australia has already started something. New Zealand is about to follow suit. And a bunch of other countries in Europe want to do the same.
She's so cheery.
First of all, funny as that, but how crazy the UN is out of money, so they have to temporarily shut down. Well, that's only good news for the rest of the world.
It's so cheery. I love her sarcastic sense of humor. As you guessed, I can relate to that. These globalist organizations that have spun off their axes need to reset themselves, and the UN is one of them. They need to reset, a complete reset. And if that means they go broke and people quit and have to reform it, and it gets reformed better than the version it is today, then that's what needs to happen. Good.
Hey, yeah, I couldn't be happier. It couldn't happen to a worse bunch of people. Hey, I just want to say welcome to Cyclone Joe and JWF 5700, brand new followers of the Just Our Take show. Thanks for being here. We're glad to have you. Yeah, tell your friends too if you liked what you saw. I guess if you didn't like what you saw, you probably wouldn't have followed.
Tell them anyways. Yeah. You gotta watch these hacks. They're terrible.
Watch it. And by the way, you can go to justourtakeshow@gmail.com and write them a really nasty letter.
Yeah,
and they'll read it on the air as long as they'll read it on the air as long as you don't cuss.
That's right. As long as you don't cuss. We do try to avoid that.
Yeah. Hey Dave, fun show. Lots of details. I'm telling you what, I hate to keep saying it, but there's a lot happening. There's a lot of things that we left off. We left off the South Korea martial law for 2.5 minutes.
We did. Or hours.
It was a little sarcasm there, Dave. I know it's hard when it comes from you.
I'm not used to sarcasm from you, John.
and then there's go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go. It's your list.
No,
go ahead.
really, it's you.
I will go there. China's been awfully quiet lately. We haven't talked about them, and they haven't been in the news as much, but go on.
No, China has been quiet. I was going to say that because before the election, they were provoking left and right, and we thought that they were going to go in and do a strike on Thailand, but they obviously have not.
Right. Remember that? We were waiting for the next hammer to drop, the next shoe to drop. Anyways, didn't happen, and now it's been super quiet, which is either a good thing, super quiet, because they're like, we're just gonna wait.
I said Thailand. I meant Taiwan.
Oh, did you say Thailand? Oh yeah, Taiwan.
I did say Thailand.
Is she just saying, I'm just gonna wait for the U.S. to finally have a president again, or are they just quietly doing something and we're just too busy paying attention just to everything else to even know what's going on? But either way, silence doesn't necessarily mean there's nothing going on, but they've been awfully quiet.
Do you find it interesting, all of these heads of state that have, recently started, for lack of a better term, kissing the ring of Trump again? I mean, you got Trudeau coming down and now he's backing down with his saber rattling or I should say wand rattle. He's got one of those wands from what's that show? The Harry Potter wand.
I think everyone's seen this by now, but when Trump's answer to him, we'll go broke if you put those tariffs on us. He goes, that's the only way your country's surviving, by stealing $100 billion from the U.S. every year. But we'll go ahead and annex you and make you the 51st state. And you can, I know being not prime minister, what's his role, whatever it is better than governor, but governor suits you just fine. I mean, just oof.
Well, then Cash came out and said, no, we'd have to actually annex it into the 51st and 52nd state so we could have an equal number of senators.
And also, not everybody in Canada is a fan of Trudeau. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. And then of course we still have to talk about it's not smooth yet. There's still a lot going on between Claudia, the new Mexican president, and I think she's trying to walk the line of, I have to kiss Trump's ring, but at the same time I have a gun on my back from these cartels. So we'll have to watch her actions. What does she do? There's a horde, not my word, it's the word that the press is using, of people that are making their way to the border right now. And the question is, will she do anything to intervene, or will she just allow them to reach?
You're afraid of calling them a horde?
No, I'm just repeating the press. It's not my word. They're calling them a horde.
They're a horde. And the other thing is, I've heard that they actually have stopped their travel forward. And there's speculation whether or not she did that or not. But either way, good stuff. Yeah, turn off your.
I just wanted you to hear it. I wanted you to hear it.
Beautiful notification. Sounds like
now you have. I'll go ahead and put it on mute now that you've heard it. All right, John. I'm getting punchy.
Listen, yep. Thank you guys for being here tonight. We've had a great time. It's always good when we hear from the folks in the chat over here. We love putting your stuff on the screen. We love using that to help us guide the show as well. So thank you guys for doing that. Thank you to producer Marie, who always brings forward some wonderful bits and pieces throughout the week for us to put on the show. So appreciate that. We will be back on Sunday. I expect to hear a lot more about Pete Hegseth between now and then. I think things are going to clarify between now and then. Look, we're still how many days away from January 20th? So
a bazillion, way too many.
Yeah, and every day you just wonder why they're being so quiet.
I wonder where Biden's going next week to give away all of our money. He's on a roll. Here's $1 billion. There's $1 billion.
What group is he? Whatever group is he going to be sitting on a table with and falling asleep in the midst of a conversation as he's giving out more money? So anyway,
where am I?
Hey, we are doing two things. We're still working on a brand new intro. That is a long process. I wish I had a video editor, but I don't. So it's up to me. And if anybody out there wants to volunteer to be our video editor, gosh, we'd love to have some help. And so I'm going to be doing a new opening video. We're also going to be doing a closing video, sleep chamber at the nursing home. That would be nice. Sleep chamber at the nursing home for Mr. Joe. Anyway, we're also going to be doing a closing video. But in the meantime, I just love this Trump ad. So that's what we're going out with again today, Dave.
I do too. I watch it all the way to the end every single time.
Me too. Thanks, guys, for being here. We really appreciate it. Again, thanks for the thumbs up. Thank you to our sponsor, Steel Rebel Design. We will see you all on Sunday evening. Same bat time.
Same bat channel. Have a good night.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we the people choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
Making that new